The following presentation is brought to you by kmmedia.pro. Please visit kmmedia.pro for more information. Now stay right where you are as we present... Welcome to Positive Talk Radio, evolving ideas, one conversation at a time. Great guests, dynamic stories and interviews, plus new thoughts on a wide range of topics and concepts. I hope that you'll hang with me, Kevin McDonald, my friends, and of course, you. As together we work to understand why we are all here and what we can do to make our world a better place for all of us. To be happy, be kind, and live in peace together. Yep, that's Positive Talk Radio. It surely is. We've got a great show for you today. This is Positive Talk Radio right here on KKNW, 1150 a.m. Eric, how are you? And how hot is hot?
How hot is hot? I first of all, I'm doing fine. And right now, I think we're about 86 degrees last I checked.
Egad.
Yep, 86 degrees.
Oh, wonderful. So
it's August.
That's right. That's right. If you're in your car and you feel like you're hot, you are, because it's hot outside. And we've got a wonderful panel, a great group to talk to today, and some really interesting information, and an event that's coming up. It's coming up in the end of September that will be really cool. And Eric, can you pronounce the Passionistas? Can you pronounce? Never mind.
Okay.
Holly?
The Passionistas project.
I wish I could say that. That would have been so nice. But Nancy and Amy Harrington are here. They are sisters, and they are the founders of the Holly.
Passionistasproject.com.
Very good. Ladies, how are you today?
We're excellent. We are doing great. How are you?
If I could speak English, I would be doing a lot better. I can only say that. It's my second or third language, but in any event, we wanted to talk to you today. Now, this is Wednesday, and I really think that, Holly, what do you think? By the way, Holly Berry is with us. She's an associate of mine, but we do something that we like to call Angels Among Us on Wednesday afternoon, and Holly gets to come on whenever we have one that qualifies as that. And I think you guys qualify for that. Holly, what do you think?
I would say so too. A huge portion of their mission has to do with nonprofits and for diversity, equity, and inclusion. So to me, that screams angels.
And their focus is on primarily women. Not that men are not included, but primarily women, because I tend to think that women have got a bit more challenges these days than men do, quite frankly. Tell us about your passion. How did you get involved with this?
Well, Amy and I both had careers in the entertainment industry. Amy was the vice president of post-production and visual effects at Warner Brothers and worked on a couple hundred films in her time there. And I had a graphic design business. I had a theater, and I did Academy Award campaigns for Miramax. So we both left our high-pressured industry jobs, and we wound up as celebrity interviewers. And after doing that for a while, we thought, this is really fun and really exciting, but we wanted to do something a little bit more impactful. And that's when we decided to take our skills as interviewers and use them to shine a light on women who were doing amazing things and changing the world, following their passions. And it became our passion just to spotlight these incredible women and everything that they're doing.
A lot of us have never been even near a red carpet anywhere. And it is really an interesting thought that we have two people here, maybe Holly, if you want to include her, but we have at least two people that have been intimately involved with the red carpet process and interviewing celebrities and people like Mr. Cranston and others that have been quite successful in their careers and stuff like that. So how did you land that gig, and how do I line up?
We have been very blessed in our careers. So we met people who worked at the Television Academy, which is the organization that hosts the Emmys every year. And we started by doing archival interviews for them. So the Television Academy Foundation has an archive of over 900.
I think it's close to 1,000.
Almost
now.
1,000. 3 to 4 hour long, for the most part, interviews with celebrities and people behind the scenes in television. So we've been doing their research, a lot of their research, editing clips for them, and conducting. We've done about 60 of those archival interviews with people like Laverne and Shirley, Penny Marshall and Cindy Williams, I should say, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Danny DeVito. So we've been really lucky to do that. And while we were working for them, we would do these little smaller red carpets. So we would do like the cast of Breaking Bad or the cast of Glee. And then that first year we were working for them, they said, okay, September, you guys got to do the red carpet at the Emmys. And we were like, okay. So
no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. Especially since when we started working for them, they were like, okay, shoot a red carpet. And we were like, well, we don't know how to run the camera. We'll show you. And then the next day they were like, okay, so now edit the clips. And we were like, well, we don't know how to edit. That's okay. Here's the manual. So we really were figuring it out as we went. And so we, for about 10 years leading up to COVID, we did every Emmys red carpet for the Creative Arts Emmys, which are kind of more behind the scenes, and then the Primetime Emmys. And it is as fun and exciting as you would anticipate it to be. It's nonstop, just people flying at you, and you never know who you're going to get. And you have to be ready with the knowledge of what their show is. And, we have a little trick that we do where we say, for the camera, tell us your name and why you're here. So that if we don't have any idea who they are or why they're there, we find out.
Yeah, we're not Ryan Seacrest. We don't have the earpiece with the producer telling us who's standing in front of us. We just have to figure it out ourselves if we don't recognize them.
Yeah.
Fortunately, Amy and I are huge TV fans. So most of the time, we know who the people are, but every once in a while there's somebody, it's like, I don't know who you are. I'm sorry.
Oh, how deflating.
We fake it really good though.
Yeah.
They don't know that we don't know who they are. So
Now, the most important question that I have to ask you of this entire interview is Danny DeVito as short as I think he is?
he is a diminutive man, but he has a huge personality.
Yes.
He is,
Oh, you are an interviewer. You said that really quite well.
he is wonderful. He is one of the most fun interviews we ever did. He did a thing that was really interesting. He switched into his character from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He was like, we asked him a question about the character and he started talking and he was Danny DeVito. And then all of a sudden, halfway through the answer, it was like, oh, he's Frank now. And it was a really subtle shift, but it was really cool. Like I'd never seen anybody that good of an actor acting up that close before. And it was like, oh, he is really good. He's really good.
Well, plus, didn't he walk into the interview with bleach blonde? Was that him?
No.
That had the bleach blonde hair. Who was that?
Oh, yeah, he
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. And so we had to like do this whole thing at the beginning of the interview, which we don't usually do for archival
Right.
interviews, but we had to explain away why his hair was that color because
I
it
forgot
was
about
very
that.
odd. Yeah.
Well, you know, when you're heavy set and short and you're still successful, that's saying something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Holly, I know you've been doing some research on our topic today. What would you like to say?
Sure. Say or ask. I have a bunch of
Ask.
questions.
Oh, yes. I knew
Yeah.
you would.
Yeah. So part of the event that Kevin referenced earlier is coming up on September 21st, 22nd, 23rd. It's a 3-day virtual event, and it's something that Amy and Nancy put together. And so I've been to a few virtual events, but for, a lot of other people, when they hear virtual event, they're like, what does that mean? So that might be kind of cool to explain that and then talk a little bit more about the event.
Well, what's really great is this year, this is the third year, and we're using a new platform this year. And it really recreates the feeling of being at a conference in person. So there's a main stage where you go and you click on the video window and you can watch the larger events. So we'll have a film festival on that event. We'll have our awards ceremony on that platform. And then there's session stages. So the smaller breakout sessions that can run concurrently so that if they overlap in time a little bit, you can stay in one room or you can move back to the next one. But in addition to that, which is cool, is there's an expo hall. So we have exhibitors. So as if you were in the lobby of the conference, you can visit with the different vendors that are there. And there's also a speed networking portion of the event so that you click a button and all of a sudden you're in a video chat with one of the other attendees. So it kind of makes up for the fact that you're not there in person mingling in the halls or, at the bar or over lunch. So it's really kind of cool that it really replicates a live event, but you can do it with your pajamas on.
And what I like about it too is we are very introverted people. And I always get really nervous at conferences and summits that it's like, oh no, we're supposed to stand at that table and have a drink and make friends. So you can kind of choose how much interaction you want to have with other people. You can just go and be anonymous and listen in, or you can ask questions in the Q&A and just in the chat.
Yeah, all of the events have a Q&A section, a session with a chat. So you can put your questions in the chat and the panelists can answer. So it's really kind of cool. It's sort of the best of both worlds. When we first came up with the idea for the conference, it was January of 2019, and it was coming up on the 100th anniversary of some women getting the right to vote. And so we thought that that would be a great milestone to mark and to, as a jumping off point of, we've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. And then as we were starting to plan this small afternoon local event in Los Angeles that we were hoping maybe, 15, 20 people would come to, COVID hit and we had to pivot like everybody else. So that's when we started working on what ended up being a 3-day global event. So in some ways, COVID was a little bit of a blessing in disguise because it became much larger than we ever anticipated it would be.
Yeah, the other thing that's cool about it is it's all recorded. So if you have a ticket and you can't stay for the entire thing, if you have commitments, during the actual sessions, you can watch them later. So
so that actually sounds like you could be in the main hall, totally wrapped up with what's going there, but there's a speaker out on one of the other stages that you can't be in two places at once. So then later on, you could go back and catch what that speaker said. So for how long is the actual event?
It's 3 days. It's two days and a night, really. It starts Wednesday night, and then it's all
21st,
the 21st, and then it's all day Thursday and most of the day Friday.
Wow. And then so you actually get the ability, even though if you can't make all 3 days, you can go back and watch as much of it later as you want. So you're really getting watch time with all the different rooms and everything, like weeks and weeks worth of.
Totally. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, how cool.
Yeah. We're also doing a film festival, correct?
That's right.
We are. So the first night, the 21st of September, 5:00 Pacific time, we're hosting Luna Fest, which is presented by Luna Bars. And
I love Luna Bars. Oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah, we get free Luna Bars. It's like
oh my God.
added bonus. But so it's a film festival of short films for women by women. Nice. And then immediately after the screening of the films, we're going to have a round table with a lot of the filmmakers. So people will get to ask them questions and they'll get to talk to each other. We'll get to ask them questions. So we've done it before. It's really fun. And their films are always amazing. They have animated films, narrative films, documentaries, all in this little package. So it's really great.
Yeah, there are 8 short films.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have really put together a program here that's going to be exciting from beginning to end. And you focus it on women. You're focusing on all women, or what category? What are you? What's your really
The
core
focus
demographic?
of this summit is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we have really focused on marginalized communities, beyond being a woman, which in and of itself is a marginalized community. But so we did last accounting, I think we figured we have about 80%,
75 to
75 to
80%.
80% of our panelists come from a marginalized community. So we have women from the Black community, from the AAPI community, from the Latinx community, LGBTQ, disability community, Indigenous women.
I know what LGBTQ is. What's AAPI?
AAPI is Asian American Pacific Islanders.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And we also have gender non-conforming, non-binary people. So we have several trans women, and we have several non-binary people as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the way we've set up the conference this year is that each panel focuses on a different topic, and the panelists come from a very diverse group of women. So we're seeing how that topic affects a variety of women, as opposed to in the past where we had a Black Lives Matter panel or a Stop Asian Hate panel. This year, we really wanted to see the intersection of all these women and what they have in common and what differs with each topic. So, so it's going to be really, and they're all storyteller events. So everybody will tell a 5-minute story about how that topic affects them. And then there'll be a roundtable discussion after the stories are done.
Yeah, so it's really entertaining and emotional. It's not just kind of a straight Q&A typical summit. And the other thing that's really cool is we have women from all over the world. So we have a number of women from Australia. There's a woman in Singapore, one in France, a few from Canada. So it's a real international extravaganza.
There is somebody who is sitting in their car in the Seattle area that's saying, that's really cool, but why don't they tell us how to get tickets? So how do they get tickets?
Hello, person.
Hello, dear listener.
The easiest way is to go to thepassionistasproject.com. And there's a link right there where you can go buy tickets.
Well, good. I can't pronounce it. I couldn't hope to spell it. Can you spell that for us?
Here's PASSIONISTAS. Passion, like you're following your passion. Istas, like fashionista.
And we are so glad that you are following your passion and doing this for folks. And Holly, I gotta tell you, they told me a story. I don't know if you listened to the podcast, which, by the way, you can listen to if you go to positivetalkradio.net. But they also do awards. And they gave an award to somebody that is in the business, they say, is a real get. I mean, a real get. Tell us about who you nominated for the award and who it was and how that story played out.
You go.
So last year, we gave the Passionistas Persist Icon Award to our lifelong hero, which many people feel this way about, the incredible Dr. Jane Goodall. And pretty much since we started becoming celebrity interviewers, anytime anybody would say to us, who's your dream interview? We would scream out in unison, Dr. Jane Goodall, do you know her? And nobody does. Nobody knows Dr. Jane Goodall. But we have a friend who's one of those kind of connector people. And last year we were like, we got to just try. So we emailed him and said, you know Dr. Jane Goodall? And he's the kind of person, anybody you ask, he's like, oh yeah, I know a guy who has a Filipino market in Warsaw. No problem. I'll get you to him. And he was like, guys, you're asking too much. You've really gone too far with this. And I can't get you Dr. Jane Goodall. We're like, okay, we thought we'd ask. He called back half an hour later and said he had put our question on a message board of an organization he was part of, and they found somebody that knew Dr. Jane Goodall. He was a major contributor to her organization Roots and Shoots, and here was her personal assistant's email address.
And
You gave him the
feel free
ultimate
to drop
challenge.
his name. Yeah, we did. We gave him
We
the
did.
ultimate challenge,
And
and he
he
rose to it.
rose to the occasion. Yeah. And so we were allowed to use this man's name. And we started pursuing Dr. Jane Goodall. It took us about 8 months to land the interview, but we got it. And it was the greatest half hour of our lives. She was everything you would dream that she would be. She was in her childhood home, looking out the window at the tree she used to climb when she dreamt about being, married to Tarzan, and grabbed a picture of her mother from the bookshelf and showed it to us and dedicated the award to her mother. And
there's a thing called the Jane Goodall effect where people meet her and break out into tears. And it was everything we could do not to do that day. It really
Well,
was.
I'll tell you, there are very few, I can't think of very many living legends in this world today, and she's one of them. She's in her 80s now, isn't she?
yeah.
Yeah.
Late.
You're saying she was sharp as a tack.
Oh,
As attack. Yeah.
to the point where the very first, from the beginning of her very first answer of her first question to the end of her answer to the very last question, bookended the entire interview perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Like she knows how to like not only tell a story with each answer, but like make the entire interview just like this perfect little gift. It was amazing. It was amazing.
That is so cool. And you guys deserved it because you worked very hard to create this program where women can feel included and inclusive, and they can talk to each other about the personal experiences that they've had and the difficulties that they've had, because I'm a guy, so I don't know anything, but you guys have had women have had some really tough times, and I'm glad to see that you're focusing on them. And I know Holly is too.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. It really does.
Do you have a question, Holly?
I can always come up with a question for you, Kevin.
I know. Well, I want to include you because, you're like, I don't know, like a woman and stuff.
My pleasure. Well, we had talked right before we went live about some of the different awards, and it sounds like, and I have them printed out here, there's 6 different awards that they're giving out. And I'm curious because each one of them has its own name and recipient. And I would love to hear a little bit about the name of the award and about the recipient that received it and how those kind of tied together.
You go.
Me? Okay. So last year was Dr. Jane Goodall for the Icon Award. This year we are giving the Icon Award to Lorraine Newman, who was one of the founding cast members.
Sorry, I just had to play some.
I love your sound effects buttons.
I thought we hit something on our end. So Lorraine Newman from Saturday Night Live, who also one of our lifelong heroes, and we are giving her the Icon Award this year. She's had an incredible career, but she's had to persist a lot. These are called the Passionistas Persist Awards, and she's persisted through some major career changes along the way. So we felt like she was the perfect person for that. Last year, we gave the Passionistas Persist Humanitarian Award to Margaret Cho. This year, we're giving it to a woman named Rebecca Coakley, who is the program officer for disability rights at the Ford Foundation. And she used to work for the Obama administration. And she is a woman living with a disability herself. And she is out there every day fighting for the rights of people with disabilities. And that award was presented to her by Kara Reedy, who's another disability rights activist that we know. She's a big part of our group. And they have an incredible, every award is the presentation of the award, but also an interview with these women. So we interviewed Lorraine Newman, Kara interviews Rebecca, and it's an incredible conversation. The Trailblazer Award is going to a woman named Soraya Shamali, who is an activist and the author of a book called Rage Becomes Her. And she's just an incredibly brilliant political activist. And that award was given to her by a Pacific Northwester, Dr. Melissa Bird, who they have an incredible political conversation. So that's really cool. Then we gave the Vanguard Award to a woman named Denai Escanavarino, and she is incredible entrepreneur herself, but she also promotes Latinx entrepreneurs. So she has helped a lot of Latinas launch their businesses, and she's founded the biggest Latinx club on Clubhouse. And that was given to her by Julie DeLuca Collins and Dolly Rivera, who are two incredible businesswomen in their own right. And then we actually this morning just recorded our interview with our Nova Award winner. Her name is Kim Roxy, and she's the founder of a beauty company called Lamique Beauty. And it's a beauty company that makes cosmetics, natural cosmetics for women of all colors. Originally, she started doing it for Black women specifically because makeup for women of different races is often more toxic than it is for Caucasian women. So she has created this clean beauty line, and she got the Nova Award because we always like to tell her she's our superstar. She's just an incredible powerhouse. And then our final award is the Visionary Award, and that was a audience vote contest that we held. There were 9 501c3s that were entered, and the audience voted for their fan pick, and we're going to announce the winner of that during the summit on Thursday night when we present the Passionistas Persist Award show. So
Holly, you know what's amazing about what just happened right there?
Do tell.
She said all of that and looked at nothing. She wasn't looking at anything. She wasn't looking down. She wasn't looking like she had that totally memorized from beginning to end.
Well, she has to. She's literally lived it and connected all these people with all these other people and come up with the entire program. And you know, when you create something from the start like that, it's in your brain.
And we love these women, the recipients and the presenters. We love them with all our hearts. Yeah. So they're always in our minds. So, but thank you for.
So let's make sure, because we have to wrap our interview up with you a little earlier than normal, but I want to make sure that we get the information out about how to get tickets and about you guys a couple of times more before you go. So how can they get tickets?
They can visit thepassionistasproject.com, and there's a little buy button right at the top of the page.
And okay, we'll talk about that again. Before you go, I just want to make sure. And you know, in our previous interview, we talked about something that I don't know that gets enough attention, and that is the plight and the problems that disabled women have.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that just a bit?
Yeah, you know, we have been educated ourselves. We are sad to admit that we did not understand really what disabled women go through. And we have been fortunate enough in our community to have several disabled women who have been our mentors and our educators and really helped us understand how horrifying it is for disabled people in this country. And one of the things that always shocks people, and that we learned by talking to these women, is that it is legal in many states, I forget how many, but more than one, many states, to pay disabled women or disabled people less than minimum wage.
It's called the sub-minimum wage, and it's legal.
And it's the reason why the majority of people with disabilities live in poverty. And there's no safety net for them. There's nothing there. And it's just horrendous and horrifying. And the more we talk to these women, the more we make this one of the causes that matters to us most in our summits. Every panel that we have has representation from the disability community, because these voices need to be heard and these stories need to be told.
Do you have no idea how many states that is?
We don't.
We don't.
We'll get that information to you, but we don't. You know, it's one of the many problems. Mm-hmm. And you know, as they always point out to us too, the majority of people are going to either become disabled themselves or have a family member who's disabled at some point in their lives, right? And especially now with COVID, everybody's kind of acting like COVID's over, I can go out, but people are still getting COVID and still getting long-term COVID. And the fact is that they're predicting that there's going to be a disability storm in the years to come, with people that are just now realizing that they have long-term COVID, and they're going to be filing for disability because, brain fog and all these other conditions, lung conditions and things that it's going to, more people are going to file for disability than it would have ever been anticipated because of things like this. So we always say, like, even if you don't have a heart and don't want to support and be an ally for people in the disability community, you should be fighting for this now, because you may need it yourself. If your only motivation is for your own good, get on the disability ally bandwagon, because you never know what's going to happen to you. And these are the most amazing, powerful women we've ever met, to do the work they do and to overcome the obstacles that they've come. They don't like to be considered inspiration porn, as they say, and we do not consider them that. They are beyond our equals. They're really, truly, the women we know are the strongest women we know, because the fight they have to fight every day.
I just want to point out that in Washington State, minimum wage is approaching $15 an hour. But I'm willing to bet you dollars to donuts that's the same states that allow below minimum wage for disabled people are the same ones that apply the federal minimum wage, which is $7.50 an hour, which is,
for sure,
in itself is not livable. And if you get paid $5 an hour or $4.50 an hour, that's not only is that not doable, that is not human. That's not what we should be doing.
Then therefore it's not surprising that most of the homeless population is made up of people with disabilities, right? Because where do they go? Who helps them?
Right.
I was a bus driver for a long time, and you know what some of the guys, their number one source of income was?
What?
Giving blood.
Yeah, right.
So how would you feel like you in order to eat, you need to give blood once every 2 or 3 weeks, as often as they will allow it? You're always feeling anemic. You're always feeling badly. There's just, and the reason I asked you how many states that is, because I want to add it to my statistics. I've got a growing list of statistics going, which is, number one, there are 4.5 million kids in foster care. There are 13 million people who are kids who go to bed hungry every night. And this is in the United States of America. It shouldn't be allowed. And I'm so glad that you guys are doing the work that you're doing to highlight it so that more people can say, nah, that really isn't how we want to operate our country anymore.
Yeah. And I think, for us, the most important part of that is we can talk about it and we can give the information that we know, which we are the first to admit is not in-depth details, obviously, statistics and stuff. But really what our mission is to step back and let the women we know who are affected by the issue speak for themselves, which is why we're doing the summit. We're not getting up and talking about disability rights because we have not lived that experience. We're giving the platform to Selene Luna and Rebecca Coakley and Cara Reedy and Kim Roxy, and these women who have, lived this way and been fighting these issues for decades, because they don't often get, not only just the disability community, but women from all these marginalized communities, they don't always get to talk for themselves. They're used to privileged people talking on their behalf, and we don't want to do that. So our summit is about giving a stage so that these women can talk for themselves and really share their own stories.
And Selena Luna is going to be on Positive Talk Radio, by the way. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
She's amazing. You're going to love her.
She's the best.
we just have a couple of minutes, and I want to set us aside for you guys to talk about the event one more time, and so that more people can find it and they can go to it, and you can do it from your bunny slippers in your own home.
That's right. That's the best part. It's all virtual. You can be comfy. You can sit on your couch. You can sit in bed. You can watch the whole thing. It is going to be inspiring. It's going to motivate you to want to get out and make change in your community. The one thing we didn't say is that the whole event culminates in our last panel, which is called Power of Voting. And we are going to Chelsea Byers, who is a woman that is an activist, and she helps organizations figure out the best way to make an impact in their community. So the Power of Voting presentation is going to be talking about all of the issues we just spent the last 3 days talking about, and how we can now go out into our communities and vote and make change and have impact around the world. So it's not just 3 days of here are all the problems, woe is me. It is here are the problems and here's what we can all do to make change. I think that's the most important thing.
And I want to add too that although the stage is reserved for women and gender non-conforming, non-binary people, men are welcome to attend. We encourage men to attend because this is your chance to hear what women and gender non-conforming, non-binary people are talking about when you're not in the room. This is the unedited version. And we need you to be our allies if we're going to make the change that needs to be made. So please, men, join us for the summit, September 21st through September 23rd.
Yes.
And remember, you have a mother, you have a daughter, you have a sister, you have an aunt. So you are engaged. You need to be engaged if you're a guy in this process. How do they get tickets again?
Thepassionistasproject.com.
Ladies, it's been a pleasure. Holly, anything before we go?
I love it when they have one last second to say whatever they would like to say directly to the listeners listening right now.
Well, first of all, we want to say thank you to both of you for having us. We really appreciate it. And to the listeners, we want to say, we are losing our rights as women. We're going backwards, and it's very frustrating. And especially for marginalized women whose rights have always been much less than the rest of us get. So we encourage you to please come hear what everyone has to say about the issues that affect them, but they affect you too. Women's rights are human rights, and you need to bolster women for this society to continue to progress. So please come, and I promise you it will be fun and entertaining and heartfelt and emotional, and you won't have experienced anything like it anywhere else before.
Woo, that gave me tingles.
And just want to thank you guys and have a great day. And just remember, you have a friend in this show. You can come here and bring anybody that you want at any time you want to.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate all your support, both of you. You're wonderful.
Well, thank you so much. And you guys got to go. You got another thing going. And so I thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
And that is Amy and Nancy Harrington, and they are with Holly. Who are they with again?
The Passionistasproject.com.
Very good. And Passionistas, damn it.
No worries. I'll say it again for you. The Passionistas Project.
And you can go get tickets by putting a .com on the end of that. That would be awesome. And by the way, we're going to play a commercial, and the angel that is on this commercial, her voice is just remarkable. So we're going to take a break, have a couple of commercials, and then we will be right back after that. And Holly and I will talk about what we just heard. So we'll be right back after these important messages.
Do you believe in the combination of brain work and spirituality? Her grace and sense of humor have made Allison Roberts highly sought after. She's a cognitive behavioral expert with natural intuition. Allison has guided thousands of people all over the world to find their internal power. Visit ALLYSONROBERTS.com for your free guided meditation today.
My name is Kevin McDonald, and I created Positive Talk Radio on KKNW 1150 AM. And if you like what we're doing here, evolving ideas one conversation at a time, we have so much more to offer you on positivetalkradio.net. Over 160 podcasts and growing. Great positive guests and many thoughts and ideas designed to help you and your family live life just a little bit better. You can even contribute to our work by becoming a member and receiving lots of cool stuff. Please check it out. I created PTR because now's the time for positive change, and nothing else matters. Again, visit positivetalkradio.net, and thanks for listening.
When you want to say more than words communicate, you can with flowers. Your custom boutique floral studio in Bothell, Washington is anaturaldesign.com, connecting you to nature through the language of flowers. Where your people are is where our flowers are beautiful. Your success is our goal. Now through New Year's Eve, here's your exclusive bonus for being our appreciated listener. Type in promo code Positive Talk Radio at checkout to receive $20 off your order. Our gift to you for being here with us today. anaturaldesign.com.
Have you ever said, how did I do this again? Want to create your own powerful life? Well, Allison Roberts can help resolve the issues that keep repeating by creating a new outcome. She is one of the top 100 coaches in the world and will help you achieve your dreams. Email her at allison@allisonroberts.com or visit allisonroberts.com and receive a free guided meditation and discover all of her ongoing programs and events. And welcome back to Positive Talk Radio right here on KKNW 1150 AM. My name is Kevin, and sitting over there is Holly. That would by the way, you have a wonderful voice and for doing commercials and stuff. And you know, the interesting thing is Eric popped in and because I think he liked that episode a little bit, maybe, kind of, I hope. What'd you think, Eric?
Hey, fantastic conversation, and they're doing really good work. So good on you for highlighting it.
Anytime that we can do that, it's you know, I feel so badly for people that don't have all the rights that everybody else has, and they have to live with that, and they don't have a lot of advocacies in the right places. And this is a type of a program that can give especially disabled people, people of color, people that do not have the education or the ability to get the education, or a whole myriad of issues. It really is helpful. And Holly, thank you for being here. You added a great deal to the show.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
Well, and it's a lot of fun when we're talking about something that, and I know that you're passionate about it, and you want to speak to that a little bit?
Sure. I think it's really...
I ran out of a question to say.
In the mid-question, no worries.
That's so hard for me to do, too.
Yeah, no, I think it's really empowering when you can bring people together and help give them a stage like that, because a lot of times that's all it takes. And especially if they're packaging it, putting it into a format, it's being recorded. So anyone that buys a ticket for this conference, even if they don't get to attend it live, they can rewatch it. It's gonna be powerful.
Eric, it was fun because these two women, Amy and Nancy, that were here, they've done a lot. They've been in Hollywood. They've worked in movies. One of them said, 290 movies she's worked on. Wow. And that's a lot. Yeah. And they had a choice that they could make, which was, I'm just going to go do what I'm doing and make lots of money and do that. Or they could be they could lead this program, and they're doing it from their heart. I'm pretty darn sure.
Yeah, definitely sound like it. They seem very authentic.
Yes, indeed. And it's great. It's just great. So Holly, what did you think of of what they had to say?
I loved how they explained how the live event is online and how their naming of the different areas that you can navigate to in the video platform. They're giving it the same kind of names that you would see if you're in a live conference center. So they're going to have like a main hall. They're going to have like the little side rooms. They're going to have discussion panels, and so it'll be pretty intuitive when you're in your pajamas attending the online event to be able to navigate around, as well as if you were in a big conference center.
And for those that are just tuning in, we had the opportunity to interview Nancy and Amy Harrington. They are the CEOs of
The Passionistas project.com.
Thank you very much.
You could
Anytime.
You could give it a try at least one time during the show, Kevin.
I gave it a try, and my tongue just doesn't work. Apparently, I don't have any Spanish in my background because I can't do that anyway.
Just too many P's for you, I guess.
Indeed. But you can get tickets to this virtual event. It's 3 days long. They're going to have movies. They're going to have just a whole bunch of stuff, and it's going to be very powerful. And I think that the idea that they had just a couple years ago has really caught on, because it's bigger this year than it was last year, and it's going to be bigger next year than it is this year. And because it is such a needed thing, especially with what's going on in half of the country with Roe versus Wade and all of that kind of stuff. So, and the loss of rights and stuff like that. So it really is important that people feel like they have a place that they can really talk about it and create some understanding. Anybody?
Anybody? Absolutely agree.
Bueller.
Well,
well said.
Eric, I was surprised because, being a former bus driver, we were very familiar with the ADA program, which is the American Disabilities Act. And that's pretty specific as to what you are allowed to do and how, you have to have bathrooms that are disabled, ready and
accessible.
Accessible. Thank you very much. But how can anybody justify paying anybody less than a living wage when they're working as hard as they can? I don't understand. And if you want to enlighten me, you can, but I don't think I'm going to buy it. So.
Well, and people can message us on our website as well if they would like to enlighten you after the show airs and hears it later.
Yeah, that's executive producer at
kmmedia.pro.
Yep, that go ahead.
So when we first interviewed them in the screening, I asked them to follow up with you to teach you about what the Bechdel test was, because you had never heard of it. Were you ever able to do that in any of the following interviews with them?
I don't. Eric, do you know what the Bechdel test is?
I've heard of it for sure, but I haven't taken it.
I think now is a perfect time to talk about it. Oh, okay. So the Bechdel test, and this is bechteltest.com. I'm reading off of right now. The Bechdel test, or the Bechdel/Wallace test, sometimes called the Moe movie measure or the Bechdel rule, is a simple test which names the following three criteria. Number one, the movie, it has to have at least two women in it who, number two, talk to each other, about three, something besides a man.
Right.
The test was popularized by Alison Bechdel's comic, the name of which Google won't let this person put on the website page for inciting any kind of hate here. In 1985, the strip called The Rule, and for a nice video introduction to the simple subject, check out the Bechdel test for women in movies on feministfrequency.com. But that is the Bechdel test. So for like a movie that everyone's heard of, that is like the perfect example of how a movie would pass the Bechdel test, is that cartoon movie called Frozen, where it's two sisters and like the whole plot and everything is all about their relationship.
You watched Frozen, did you?
Have you not, Kevin? Oh, we're gonna have to give you some links to some Netflix shows.
Well, I was just thinking about some of the movies that I've really enjoyed over time, and I'm thinking that a lot of them don't include, would not pass that test.
Right. And historically, very few. They have a list here. Like currently on this website, they have 9,630 movies in the database. And it looks like I have not even seen any of these. Yeah. So it's, I've seen Dragon Ball Super. That's about it. But it's really hard. So like Frozen is one of the few recent ones that's really mainstream, really popular, that is easy to say, yes, that passes that test. But yeah, and now that in the last, few years where it's like come to light that there's this name for this thing that's really hard to find in movies, we'll tease each other at home about it. Like, oh, it just failed the Bechdel test.
Well, the sad thing about that is that, and forever in Hollywood and on stage, I don't think quite as much on stage, but women are discriminated against. I had to laugh. I was watching a photographer, and it was a celebrity photographer, and I was scrolling through the pictures. All the men were old and wrinkled. All the women were young, but there were no women that were older at all. Because when you get to a certain age, you no longer qualify for a bunch of parts that men do, because it's okay for a guy who is 60 to play a guy who's 50 dating a woman who's 30. But it's not okay for the other way around. That's just crazy.
It'll be cool if things like that, those old norms start to change and shift, and where we can actually start finding real, like, measured shifts in society as time moves on. I'm excited about that.
Eric, you've been I've known you for a long time, and you have been interested in this kind of thing for a long time. What is it going to take for us to change to a much better, more equitable place in our country, do you think?
Yeah, no big questions there, huh?
By the way, you got 3.5 minutes. Make it quick.
No, I think as far as like movies go, there's still plenty of work to do there, for equity and representation for everybody. But I think we're moving in the right direction. I think if you look at any of the bigger movies, in the last 10 years and compare them to, say, even 20 years ago, there's, huge strides in, representation, and also, not just treating women as secondary, as far as the roles go. So, I think we're making progress. We may not be all the way there, but definitely making progress for sure. And then, of course, as far as national changes, you got to get out and vote. And that makes a difference, who you have representing you. Is it people that want to drive things backwards, or is it people that want to drive things forward?
And in the state of Washington, it's a off presidential year election, but there's still a lot to vote for, and there's still a lot of representatives that are going to go to Washington and are going to make decisions on your behalf that you may not agree with. So if I think personally it's a crime that less than 50% of the population votes in an off-year election. Even as low as 30 or 40%. And I just want to remind people what that does is you are abdicating your ability to affect positive change by not going out and voting. And that is something that you should not give up, because that's a fundamental right. Is being able to vote. There are a lot of places in the world you can't do that, and we can do that here. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox.
I was just going to be like, do I got to kick that soapbox?
So I'm going to do this because I like to do this a lot, and I'm going to do this for Holly. Holly, I'm going to set myself aside, and I want you to tell our audience that is listening now, or when we put this into a podcast on positivetalkradio.net, tell them anything that you would like them to know.
I would like them to know that now, with the amazing power of the internet, if you are curious about something, especially about things like equality or statistics related to our society or any of that, you have the power at your fingertips to educate yourself. Not only can you find that information online, but a lot of colleges have free courses that you can take or audit. And that is very powerful. If you feel strongly about a certain topic, educate yourself about it, because you can do even more in that arena if you are empowered with education on the topic.
And Eric, I just want to say that I really do appreciate that when you come on, and then we can talk a little bit, because, you know, I missed 2003 when we did this 2 hours.
Those were good times.
I know. I had hair and everything. But that was a great year, and I just wanted to publicly again thank you. We've just got a second that on the last show, the last day that I did Positive Talk, the last person to talk was you, and you said, Kevin, you're a class act, and I hope to see you soon. And I want to thank you for that very, very much. That meant a lot to me.
And you know that check never cleared, Kevin. So.
That's because
kidding, of course.
No, that's because I owed your boss $10,000, but that's a story for another time.
Yeah,
so
it's always a pleasure talking to both of you.
And thank you so much. And everybody, take care of yourselves. Be kind to one another, because each other's all we got. We'll see you on Friday
at noon.
Thank you.
And Monday at 9 a.m.
Absolutely.